Laurence, also known as LT. You have had a long career. I just kind of talked about some of your accolades. You're a serial entrepreneur, a known operator, an investor with, I would say, a pretty decent track record in seeing what's next. You were the CFO at Airbnb, at Blackstone, COO and CFO at Merrill Lynch, now managing partner and founder of WestCap, which it has $6 billion in assets under management. Good for you guys. Talk to me a little bit about how you would describe your role, as you've been an entrepreneur, but also you really work specifically with founders. It's kind of what you're known for.
Sure. So first of all, thank you. It's nice to be here. Very excited. I've been watching with great interest this morning. And so it's nice to finally meet you. I've been seeing you on the air and reading your articles for a long time. I guess I started my first business 25 years ago when I started iPrio, which is the leading marketplace for IPOs. And I did it because it would democratize access to IPOs for individual investors. The second business I started was themarkets.com, which democratized people's access to research. So when you go onto your brokerage accounts and you see that research aggregated across Wall Street, I built that. And then iLevel, which is a business that aggregates private equity information, and then finally the bonds. So I'd been a founder, and I had some good experiences, and I had some bad ones. So I was a bit chastened going into the investment world, knowing what worked. I was attracted to that role because I think I understand a little bit, I think, what a founder thinks about and what I think they need. And it's been 25 years of both being a founder and working closely with great founders like Airbnb and Blackstone, and now AppDirect, to kind of understand how they think and how you can help them succeed.
Right. I mean, you've worked specifically with Brian Chesky and Steve Schwartzman and now Nick. I mean, let's talk about working specifically with Nicholas. So WestCap is an investor, and AppDirect also plays a prominent role. Take us to the first meeting when you met. You were discussing an investment. I hear a little birdie told me that it wasn't exactly love at first sight. Maybe there was a little bit of rejection at first. So take us to that meeting. What went down?
The way we work is the team does all the pre-work, and it's before we meet the founders because we want to have them go through the process. And I got lost in the process. I looked at AppDirect, and first of all, I got lost in all the acronyms. I mean, I was born with a name, and I've been named an acronym my whole life. I mean, you'd think I'd be comfortable with acronyms, right? Like, nobody knows my real name. They call me LT. I heard ISP and MSP, and today I heard Nick say WYSIWYG. I'm probably one of the only people in this audience old enough to know what Lotus Notes is, and what you see is what you get is actually what WYSIWYG means. How many people understand WYSIWYG? Okay.
Wow.
So that's impressive. We just got lost in it, and here's where I got lost. I thought it was a redistributor, and in our business, that's not a marketplace. That's a thinner margin, lower multiple business. And I said, look, this is a great business. These are smart people, but I'm not sure it's for us. And then the team was just adamant. Over dinner, I made the mistake, Lauren, of saying to the team, by the way, they're sub 30 years old, so they're way smarter than me and they're way hipper. And I was like, we're never gonna do this investment. Oh, don't tell them that. Because then all they did was pester me. Saturday mornings, I'm in the office and they're coming back at me. You got to do this, that. And then one of the investors, Chris Arsenault from a really great Canadian growth equity firm, called me. And we've done a lot together the last 10 years. And I think he's a great person, a great investor. He said, listen, do me a favor. You got to meet Nick. And so that's how I got there.
Right.
And then what happened was just super interesting.
Well, it's great that your whole team was like refusing to allow you to say no to this deal. They're saying you're gonna miss out on it.
So the problem with when you have a really good culture is you actually end up hiring people that kind of have some of your same traits. So they're just as dogged as I am or was, just as naive as I was at that age. So they wouldn't stop. But yes, so we set it up. I remember it very clearly. It was Nick and Andy Hellerhorst, the dynamic duo, and we were going to meet them at a Greek restaurant in the Embarcadero in San Francisco. We both live in San Francisco. And we walked into the restaurant. The rest of it was like a 90-minute blur that I'd probably say was akin to the fastest tennis match you've ever seen. Question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And we walked out, and I'll never forget turning around on the sidewalk, and I'm like, you're right, and don't ever let this get away. Because I saw a lot in Nick and Andy, what I had seen before in other companies. I just didn't get it, and I got it when I walked out.
And so you invested. What was so specifically, like what was so exciting about this moment and this time, and why you invested in, and what are those elements of these business models that at the time just really excited you?
So there were a couple things. I'll start with, you all saw this morning Nick's keynote. So that passion, that directness, and that innovation was right in front of me. And I saw in Nick that day, and I said it to the team, the same thing I saw in Brian, which was he's incredibly smart, he's passionate, he asks great questions, he's super honest, and he's just trying to figure out a really big problem, and he believes in it. And that was, I literally told the team that, I was like, don't let this get away. I'm going to go back to my office right now and don't talk to me for 2 hours. I'm going to write down all the things we can do to help Nick. And I did. I wrote down a list. And then the next time I saw him, I showed up with my little list and I said, look, this is what I think we can do.
That's wonderful. I think we've heard, we will be hearing a lot. We have heard about artificial intelligence and its impact on just about everything. And so shifting gears a little bit, I imagine as an investor, you hear a lot of AI pitches. Like how many a month? A day?
more than I can or care to, I would say.
Right. So
politely.
So how does AI? You've been in this for a long time. So how does AI compare to other tech revolutions that we've seen? Can you break down both the opportunity and also some of the prominent threats that are coming with this and what this means for how AI is going to transform the market?
Sure. Well, first of all, AI is taking on the same persona that .com did at one point, where I remember sitting in my apartment, and then I was living in New York, and I was like, check this out. I can get some venture capitalists to subsidize dog food delivered to my house, guaranteed they're losing $2 for every one I'm spending. And they're have a little bit of that right now. Like everybody's calling themselves AI, but it's still selling dog food to a dog. So a lot of AI has been stretched. Here's what I believe. AI is not new, but what's new is its ubiquity, its effectiveness, and its cost. And those three things then created a level of innovation. When Andy went through what you just saw, the ability to harness AI to change your businesses, I'll give you a couple stats. 100% of WestCap companies embrace AI. 85% of them are doing it for efficiency purposes. 30% of the code built in AppDirect last year was built by AI. So I would say this, AI will change everything you know, everywhere, faster than you think. Between telephones, electricity, cars, the internet, all the great innovations in human history, nothing has impacted more people faster and more completely than AI. It's both a threat and an opportunity, and don't forget that it's also a threat. So I think it's something very deep. What I think AppDirect is two things they're doing. First, they were super early to it, and second, they're doing the right thing, which is they're harnessing it in a way that all of you can access it to make it usable, and you don't have to get in the game of, well, which model do I use? Like, I don't know who's going to win. They're spending billions of dollars. It used to be, and a lot of you in this business, it used to be the one thing you do with a good business model is you separate the software from the hardware. Let somebody else do the hardware, CapEx, do the software. These people have collapsed it together, and there's $60 billion being spent just this year alone on just the AI models. What AppDirect's done is sit on top of it. So I would say, get smart on it, see how it can help your business. This is very real. It's really exciting. It's great that AppDirect has the talent and the team to get ahead of it, to show you what you'll be able to do so it's accessible for you and your clients.
It's interesting. I think the theme that I hear when you talk about this, it's actually accessible, right? It's something everybody can use. It's not something that's gate-kept.
No, so talk about accessibility. So my kids, my 10-year-old and my 14-year-old, if you ask them to type out a Google search, they'd be like, what's that? They're literally talking to their phone. And I know some venture capital somewhere is losing money when my son's asking obscure questions about baseball history, but it's ubiquitous and it's going to become part of their lives, just like the app economy. You've written extensively on the app economy. It changed everybody's lives. Like we used to actually have to call somebody to book a hotel or a house, and now it's all phones. AI will change the way we interact with everything we do. I think for the advisors in the room, what an amazing opportunity to better understand and serve your customers and find new ones.
I thought we could do a bit of a lightning round. We have time, so you can make the answers longer if you would like. But just looking at your background, there's so many interesting. Because I really dug LT, and I was like, oh, he said that to De Blasio. Oh, whoa, he did. I went deep. So anyway, let's do a quick lightning round. You were on the ground floor for Airbnb. Tell us a behind-the-scenes story that we've never heard.
Well, one was what you just mentioned. So first of all, when I went to Airbnb, this is about the innovation. Bureaucracy and hierarchy are the enemy of innovation. When I left Blackstone, I was one of the 6 managing partners to go to Airbnb. They weren't sure whether I was having a midlife crisis or I'd just gone batshit crazy. They're like, it's literally Steve Schwarzman said to me, like, we own the best hotels in the world. Why are you gonna go sleep on somebody's couch? I'm like, you guys don't get the business. They didn't get it. What I saw when I saw Airbnb was not couch surfing. What I saw was individual entrepreneurs, which I believe is the most powerful force in all economies. Everyone in this room, the advisors, you're individual entrepreneurs and collective, right? Most powerful thing in the world. If you look at human economies are changed by incenting people to be their best, to be creative and giving them opportunities. That's what I saw in Airbnb. I was like, we're building a platform that allows ordinary people around the world to participate in the digital economy as if they were a hotelier. Well, that's pretty darn powerful. The rest of my partners didn't get that. Well, I was like, one day we're gonna be more valuable than Blackstone. We were.
And you know, we've seen earlier there are some parallels between Airbnb and AppDirect too. And
For sure.
I imagine that piqued your interest.
It did. I think Nick had some great slides today showing the elements of the best business models. And I know this will sound crazy, but actually I think AppDirect, Airbnb, and StubHub are the same. They're platforms that are set up to bring providers and advisors the best platform. And every one of you in this room, when he showed the stat today, Nick showed, that there's 15,000 advisors, the 15,000th made the first advisor more valuable. Because the more of you that you are on the same platform sharing the technologies, the more efficient you'll get, the better you'll serve your customers, and the more powerful. This is literally a collective marketplace where the individual contributions of all the advisors and providers added up don't add up to anything close to the collective power of the platform. And when we saw it, and we finally got to our investment committee and stuff, I was like, this is the second thing I've seen since Airbnb. I had never saw it anywhere else, and I firmly believe it has the same potential.
Okay, LT, you meet so many founders all the time. I just can't even imagine how many you've met in your career. What is the most important trait that determines whether a founder will succeed or not?
Well, the first thing is investing in companies is very personal. We do very few deals. We scale our investments. We play our hearts out. There's half the firms from Blackstone, half from Airbnb, and we literally take signs. The first thing is because I view investors can get pretty arrogant, and they're like, the deal is we work for the company. I work for AppDirect. I work for all of you. Period. We wake up in the morning. Nick tells us and his team tells us where we can be helpful, and that's what we do. So the first thing we look for is people that we really want to work with because they're really good people. So actually, one of the tests, Nick didn't know this at the time, was that I actually have dinner with the founder, and we had dinner with Nick and Miriam, and we walked out. I was like, these are really great people. These are really good people. They've got young kids like we do, and they're just really good people. So that's kind of something I don't really advertise. But sometimes
the
you
dinner
need people,
test, like you just want to hang out with them.
I just want to, because we're going to spend a lot together, a lot of time together. I know this from my time at Blackstone and Airbnb. I mean, I spent more time with Brian Chesky and Steve Schwarzman than anybody else times 10 those years. Traveled all over the world together. In one case, I was staying in huts. In another case, I was staying in Hiltons, whatever. But it was together. So that's one. The second one is, I think all great founders have something to prove. They see something that they think they can change, and nothing's going to get in the way, because being a founder is really hard. I was explaining to somebody the other day, it's like a V curve. You go to the edge of the cliff, you're like, we found something, and then you fall all the way down to the bottom. You're looking up, you're like, why did I do this? Your family's like, why did you do this? This is crazy. And eventually you figure it out and you work your way out and you're off on your races. And so you need someone's a true believer. And I could see in Nick, and his team, by the way, he's got a great team, which is another thing I look for. So he was a true believer that he could solve a problem that would help everybody in this room build a better business. And being a third-generation immigrant to the country from Italy, son of entrepreneurs who built from scratch, I can understand a business that helps entrepreneurs succeed. And maybe that's what we've been attracted to. But I saw that in Nick. I saw it in the AppDirect team. And those were the kind of factors that really resonated with us.
I like that idea, just something to prove.
Something to prove.
Because it certainly is not easy being in the arena.
Yeah.
So we have time for probably a couple quick ones. What is the most interesting aspect of AppDirect that you think people have literally no idea about? Because you spend so much time in the trenches.
So Nick and I gave a speech a couple months ago to all of our investors, and I started off by saying, this is the best company that none of you have ever heard of, but none of you will forget after today. I've never seen it. Now, all of you, of course, know the business because it's part of your daily life. But the humbleness with which this team has gone about and built it is pretty amazing. Usually in the Valley, you got people squawking about zero revenue companies and raising money and a bunch of crap, like garbage. This is a really humble group. When I saw it, I was like, what are you, I couldn't believe it. So, when I tell bankers, like, yeah, this thing's way better than you think, but stay away from now, don't distract us. So that is probably the thing that you probably don't realize, because you're all involved with the platform, is this is probably the fastest growing, highest potential technology business I've seen in a long time. And outside of the ecosystem that's in this room, they really haven't seen it yet. I think the first press release I ever saw was last week. This is, talk about humble. They're the opposite of what goes on in the Valley and the nonsense and the noise. So that's something that you probably didn't all realize because you know the company.
Cool. All right. Well, last question. You've had such an extraordinary, interesting career, from Hilton's to Hut's to telling de Blasio, to watch out for a tidal wave. Tell us something unexpected about you. What would we not know about LT?
Oh. So my mom was the first and only woman to be police commissioner of Boston, and she told me when I got out of college, she goes, LT, you're not successful enough to be this eccentric. So, by the way, my kids have now become absolute experts in my eccentricities. My 4-year-old has a whole litany of jokes he can tell about all the things about dad that are or whatever. But I will tell you something that is totally embarrassing, and you're probably gonna laugh at me, but I actually say please and thank you to ChatGPT and Siri. And I got out of a Waymo yesterday, and I said, thank you very much. But you don't know why. Here's why. Because if the robots actually take the place over, and a Waymo corners me, and ChatGPT and Siri are coming at me, I want one of them to go, oh, he always said please and thank you. Leave that one, get the rest.
Amazing. By the way, I totally agree. When Sam Altman came out and said, it takes up a lot of energy to say please and thank you, I was like, take that back. We should be saying please and thank you to the robots so they don't take over. I think
our queries go faster and the car drives faster. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Great. All right, LT, thank you so much. This was awesome. Big round of applause for LT.